Good evening, football fans, and welcome to FTB, as per usual, to look at the Premier League show. Please like us, subscribe us, and share us, of course. And we've got those two football geeky wizards on with us. We've got Solo, Man United's favourite, and we have Sam, the Spurs till he dies, White Hart Line man, on the other line. So, sure, they'll be very much sitting on the fence about the games, not. But let's have a look through what could be a very exciting Premier League machine gun fire of games after games after games that could, as often it does in January, turn the whole season. I was just laughing beforehand with Solo about United's game tomorrow night at Burnley, -1 degrees. Just a thought for the week. The weather could play a very big part. It's going to be wet some of the evenings, not Tuesday, but the rest of the week. It's going to be bloody freezing.
Cold night at Burnley. Cold night at Burnley.
The virus will rear its ugly head to knock out some players. But without more ado, should we roll on to our first game, which is tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in the evening. So everyone's locked down anyway, so 6 o'clock's pretty good. Sheffield United, Newcastle. Take it away, gentlemen. Who'd like to go first?
You go. Sheffield United, Newcastle doesn't strike me as it's going to be the most exciting game in the world, although Sheffield United obviously need a win. 2 points out of 17 games, I believe they have. Newcastle, so. It's hard to call this one. I can see it being a pretty drab draw, if I'm honest with you. Both teams, obviously Sheffield United need the victory more. Newcastle United, whether they come out attacking, I doubt it very much. So I can see it being a bit of a tight affair. Sheffield United obviously can't afford to lose again, although I think they're pretty much done anyway. But if you're looking for a prediction from me, I'm going to go 1-1.
Okay, thank you. Chris Wilder, good night Vienna, or will he continue? What do you think, Sam?
In terms of him being sacked?
If they can't beat Newcastle, who are they going to be?
Yeah, well, 17 games in, they ain't beating anybody. So, it's just going to go on and on. I think what it is for Sheffield United, they've got to try now just to try and get a win on the board anyhow, any way, any shape or form. They're probably resigned to the fact that they are going to be going down. Chris Wilder brought them up. I can't see them making a change now, because if they were going to make a change, they probably would have done it by now. I think they probably, like I said, they'll resign to the fact they're going to go down. They probably want him to be the man in charge, continuity, all the rest of that sort of good stuff. I would have said if he's going to get sacked, you'd have gone by now. So he's probably in for the long haul. Let's just hope he can beat the Premier League record of 11 points that's set by Derby County some years ago. I think that's probably the first step.
Yeah. I mean, I see it, but there's going down like Norwich did and sticking with a manager. But I can't remember how many points Norwich got. They must have got 30 odd. They went down with a bit of style, and they're going down without winning a game. Gosh, they will have to have patience as Saints to let Chris Wilder carry on there. But maybe they will. Maybe you're right. Solo, what do you reckon?
Looking at this game, Sam just alluded to basically 2 points from 17 games. You got Newcastle, though, on the other hand, who's scored 1 goal in their last 8 games. So, again, you're looking at 2 clubs right now. Steve Bruce is under a lot of pressure at the moment from the fan base, because obviously the sort of football he plays. But saying that, he's about 4 points better off now than what, say, Rafa Benitez was the season before he left Newcastle. So, for me, I was watching his press conference the other day and they asked him, does he need a striker? He said, no. I do believe they need a striker desperately, because 1 goal, Callum Wilson, again, for me, great striker, but he's feeding off scratch. And for me, it's not good enough. So I'm going to say a 1-1 draw.
I don't think any fans will be happy with that. Sheffield United, but maybe, Sheffield United, maybe they'll take it. Okay, moving on. I can see you really chomping at the bit for the next game. Sorry, Sam, I will come back to you on this one. I've got to keep you in the hot seat there. So, -1 degrees, Turf Moor on a Tuesday night. The main question is, how many United players are we wearing gloves and long sleeves and ties?
Paul Pogba, that's it. And Martial, if he starts. The French players will definitely wear their gloves and their extra warmth. But again, it's going to be a difficult game. We're talking about the results earlier. It's like a bit not inconsistent for Burnley, but it's almost like they're 1-1, drawn 1, lost 1, 1-1. And to be honest with you, Burnley is a tough, very difficult place to go to. So let's not kid ourselves there. It's very difficult. Apart from, I think, is it Man City is the only club that actually goes there, turn up, and actually give them a beating 5-0 predominantly all the time they play each other. So for me, it's going to be tough. Listen, I'll take a scrappy 1-0 win. I don't really care. Takes United top of the league. Wouldn't care.
Take it. Doesn't happen every other game.
There you go. Well, yeah, I'll take a listen.
Penalty.
I'll take a penalty as well. If we have to, I'll take the penalty. To be honest with you, going top of the league is something when the season started, I couldn't see us anywhere near where we are now. I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but I'll enjoy it for now. Let's enjoy it while we're there. So for me, going top of the league, it's unexpected for us as United fans. For me, it's like a miracle. Us winning the league, different story. I think City and Liverpool will be too strong for us throughout. So, yeah, for me, I'm going to say United 1-0.
Sam, you must have a different view.
Oh, yeah, I definitely have. Definitely have. This is one of the games I'm going to be using my betting application to put a bet on, Bet365. There are other betting companies out there and available, and I'm going to go for a Burnley win. The reason I say that is United, although they've surprised me how they've done so far in the latter part of the first half of the season, it appears to me that it's, and I mentioned this yesterday on the Premier League show, it's almost like the players are digging Ollie out. He's doesn't appear to me to have an attacking style, which is the Man United way. You know, everybody's kind of sat back. They have to anticipate that Man United are going to be the majority of the game, majority of the possession, all the rest of it. It seems like when their backs against the wall, the players seem to turn up and the counter-attacking style, blah, 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 all the rest of it. I'm going for a Burnley win. I'm going for a Burnley 1-0 here because Sean Dyche, notoriously a seasoned manager in the Premier League, knows how to grind out results. I think he performs against the top teams. Because his name's, Sean Dyche, that's probably the reason why he hasn't moved on to a bigger club than Burnley, although he's very comfortable at Burnley. He does know what he's doing in terms of setting teams up. Very difficult team to play against. United aren't going to get much change out of them. They have to watch out for set pieces. They're going to aim for the likes of Maguire in that central area of defence, a bit of a weakness there. The one thing I can say about Man United is they have a lot of attacking threats. So, you give them any space in behind, they are going to make sure that they they are going to probably take advantage of that with getting shots off at goal. In terms of them having that creativity in the middle, which is only Bruno Fernandes, which provides that, if Burnley can nullify that threat, and they will do their homework on that, I can see them kind of, maybe keeping him out the game. Who else from Man United is going to turn up? I'm not sure. But as I said, this is going to be one I'm going to make a bet on, and it's going to be a Burnley win. 1-0.
Yeah, I think to be fair to McTominay, I can see him going out there in his short sleeves and wanting
summertime for him. Summertime.
Yeah, the Scots love it out there. But gosh, I think I'm with you, Sam, but I'm not certain. Interesting to see Adam pop up there on here saying a penalty would be sweeter to keep Klopp crying. He might not be wrong, What worries me is he might not be wrong. If I was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and I looked at the strength of that Burnley defence, I wouldn't be looking for a free kick or whatever. I'd be trying to play the ball quickly. I'd be trying to get Rashford sprinting, Martial sprinting at them. I think that's where Burnley will struggle. But
in saying that as well, though,
with you, Sam, I've got a bad feeling it's going to be some dodgy penalty near the end.
I hope not, because this is what I'm saying. Then there's going to be all these conspiracy theories. How many penalties are Man United going to get for the whole season? I can't.
Again, Sam, I'm going to pull up on two things there. Your first one, you've got Cavani should be coming back tomorrow for us. So he's just done his suspension. Now, I saw a very important stats earlier. and everyone's saying VAR Man United, VAR Man United. I'm going to name you 3 clubs. Tell me who's had the most penalties this season. So you've got
I know
Leicester
the answer.
City,
I
you've
know
got
the
Villa,
answer.
and you've got Man
this.
United.
Leicester are top of that. I know
8
Leicester are
penalties
top.
they had. Man United's had 5. But like what I always
Yeah,
say,
7 against City early on, didn't they?
there you go. So everyone's saying about Man United, but the problem is Leicester City has had the most penalty this season. Vardy has scored all his goals via penalty. Now, another stats.
You're going to be a stat man today, are we?
I am going to be a
hit me with
stats man. Hit
You
it
know,
with
the
it.
2 against City they weren't even close to being contestable. They were
There
down
you go. Exactly. The other one is everyone's saying about how many penalties United have, and it's VAR United and penalty chess United. But there's Liverpool. So you got the Man United, who's I think top of the tree with the most penalties. Yes. Second place behind us with 1 is Liverpool, and then the other team is Crystal Palace.
You're crying to somebody who doesn't care. I don't care. I'm not bothered. You lot get decisions that you shouldn't get, and that's the point. I don't want to see none of that tomorrow. I want a game where it's just decided by the best team, and the best team tomorrow will be Burnley.
Yeah. Right. Moving on. 2 teams, Wolves, Everton. Where at the beginning of the season, I think there was a lot of people out there thinking Wolves, Everton, with the signings Everton had made, surely they're going to be rattling the door of that top 4, at least a European place. Wolves seem to have been, obviously they lost Jimenez, whatever, up front, and sold Jota to Liverpool, and that's made them really impotent, even though they've got a magic midfield. Everton never seem to put the same 11 together for any particular reason, and they seem to stop-start. What's your thoughts, chaps? Do you want to go first on this one, Sam? Wolves, Everton, the 2 pretenders who've not materialised?
So Everton in their last 5 games, 4 wins, 1 loss. The last game they lost. Wolves, however, a little bit stuttery at the moment. I'm just having a quick look here. I think Wolves have not won in their last 4 games. So that could be coinciding with the fact that they haven't got a goal scorer in Jimenez playing. They're probably trying to work out how they can get goals from other areas. I'm looking at the strengths of Everton. I think Ancelotti. Is it at Wolves? Did you say? It's
at Wolves. Molineux.
Again, it's difficult to call because Wolves are a decent outfit at home. They're a good team. I said when Spurs played them, we had the game in our pockets for 80 odd minutes, and then they popped up with an equaliser. So they've always got a goal in them. They seem to do well in the second half of games, and they do score goals late. For this one to go Everton's way, I think they're going to have to probably get 2 goals to make sure the victory. Are they going to get 2 against Wolves? Wolves are pretty tight at the back. Again, it's a tight one. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Everton away win on this one.
That's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout. Solo.
Again, we're talking about Wolves, and again, for me, this season, I thought they would have progressed a lot better or start the season off a lot stronger than they have. But looking at them from last season, they're actually the first half of the season, they weren't that good. It's the second half of the season that they came really good, Wolves. Now, when you look at Wolves, you got Cody at the back, and he's like a beast at the back. I'm surprised no other clubs have gone in for him. Yeah, I'm surprised no one's gone in for him. I think, to be honest with you, go back to Liverpool, it'd be brilliant because they need someone at the back now. Yeah, he is ex-Liverpool. Yeah. So for me, it's a case of Ancelotti now, mastermind, great manager, absolutely great manager, knows what he's doing. Calvert-Lewin is a different player now underneath him, class. Didn't think he had it in the locker, but he has. So, and like you said, Sam, they don't start the same 11 each week. So I'm going to go with a tough one, and I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to go for my second game as a draw, and I'm going to say 1-1, 1-1.
I have to say I'm with Sam on this one. I think it's going to be. I think 1-2 is a very good shout. 1-2, I think, is a good shout. I think Everton are going to have too much for Wolves. Wolves just can't bag it. they can't bag it in the net. And Everton do. Calvert-Lewin's got 11 goals this season, and he's just run a little cold the last few games. Now, I'd have thought a cold Tuesday night's made for him, isn't it? Classic, English number 9. Yeah, I think so. Breaking news: Man United have been drawn with Liverpool in the FA Cup.
Yep, apparently so.
No.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
That's fantastic.
We could be having our leg pulled here. Let's not get hang on.
Let's not go into this because I would want to see who Spurs have got. But like I said, I'm going to stay with this.
Yeah.
Oh God, he's right. It's true, and it's at Old Trafford.
Oh, that's right then. Penalty. We'll take a penalty there as well.
Right.
Penalty all the way around.
Moving on to wet Wednesday because the weather gets tons wetter. But what the heck? It always rains in Manchester. So City Brighton. I did chuckle when Brighton went to extra time last night and went the full distance after City had played on Sunday. And I thought, poor old Brighton, it's a long way back up that motorway to Manchester on Wednesday night. City have got a great run of games coming up now to really establish themselves. And I have to say, they were really stuttering. And I didn't see where this explosion of form came in that 20 minutes against Chelsea. It's just like they exploded with energy and accuracy. And they've kept it going. So, if I can politely be asked to kick this session off, I think City will do Brighton, and I think they'll do them by 3. Anyone want to take me up on that?
I was going to say exactly the same thing. I can see this being a 3-0 City. Brighton, 4 points from the last 15. I think it's 4 draws and 1 loss in the last 5 games. They're not a match for City when City are playing like how they're playing at the moment. I can't see any other way that, Brighton are one of them teams that they really don't change how they play, so they still go out and try and play a bit of football, which is just going to fall right into City's hands. I know it's going to be away and that they might, play 5 at the back, but their style of play encourages a City team. They're not going to just sit back and counter-attack. Brighton are going to try and play a bit of football. And, of course, they need to get a result because they're down there. They're fighting for points as well. They're not assured of being in the Premier League at this moment in time. So they have to pick up as many points as they can. But this is not a game where I can see them picking up anything. So I'm going 3-0 City.
I think that's not a bad shout. I've just had a look at the FA Cup. Tough game for City. Got Cheltenham Town. So, it is at Cheltenham, and I've seen it. I used to live around there. That ground is pretty exposed and pretty basic. So,
come on, Adam's going to have to put up this. What's going on with Spurs? I know. I want to hear that, but that's the next one. Come on.
Right, go on.
So, for me now, City's going to win it no matter what. But I think at the moment, City is not leaking any goals. It's almost like they're sorting their defence out, which is good. But it's going forward. It's almost like they're not scoring. Don't get me wrong, they scored 2 against United the other night. But I just think, for me, United downfall was the mistakes we made in the first goal for us to lose 2-0. But Brighton, is it that youngster they got from Chelsea? Is he the left back? Yeah. Since he's not been there, since he's been out injured and stuff like that, it's like they're not the same team, Brighton, are they? They're not the same team because he does everything almost like the attacking come through him, and he's playing left back for them. So, yeah, I'm going to probably go with, you said 3-0. I'm going to stick to 2-0. That's what I've got written down. 2-0, cool. City.
Cool. And Sam, if you're wondering who Spurs have got, they're away at Chelsea. No, they're not. They're away.
I can see it on the screen. Well done, Adam. Well done. We'll take that all day long.
Come on, Wickham.
This is lovely.
Now, coming on to the next Premier League game, I'm a little bit confused. I'm not certain what happened here because is it Tottenham-Fulham?
Fulham.
Tottenham-Fulham.
It is Tottenham-Fulham, not Fulham.
Yes. Yeah, Tottenham-Fulham.
Okay. So it's Tottenham at home to Fulham on the wet Wednesday night. Really bad weather. Come on then, Sam. How's it going to be?
I don't see anything else other than a Spurs victory. We rested as many players as I would have liked to have seen rested yesterday. So we had no Højbjerg playing, we had no Kane, we had no Son, we had no Ndombele. There was no Eric Dyer. Hugo Lloris had a rest. I don't see how Fulham can pull anything out of this one. You know, their form again very similar to how Brighton have been. They're drawing a lot of games in the last 5 games. They haven't picked up any victories. We seem to now have got a bit more of a balance. I know it was against Marine yesterday, but we've got a little bit more of a balance between that defensive style that Jose was employing earlier on in the season and a bit more attack. And I think the opportunity to get 3 points on the board and to go very close to Liverpool, obviously, depending on what the result is tomorrow with United, United are going to probably likely to. I said that Burnley were going to win, so I'm hoping that that's still the case, which means that gives us an opportunity to get very, very close to that, you know, that top 2 and be very close in terms of points. So, score-wise, I'm going to be a little bit kind to Fulham here. I'm going to say 3-1. I'm going to say 3-1. I'll let them have a goal, but for score, Spurs, Harry Kane, Son.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It is a bit like City, Brighton. Fulham and Brighton, you've got to love them. They're probably going to go down, but they're going to go down trying to play football, trying to play the beautiful game. And I take my hat off to them doing that. I don't want to see going down parking the bus. You know, they're going to go down and they're going to continue like Norwich did, trying to play really, really good football. And look where Norwich are now, back at the top of the Championship. You know, maybe there's something to be said about staying true to your ethics, mastering your game. You know, they probably haven't got, neither club got the money, the spondoolies to stay in the Premier League. But just like Norwich, you know, they may find a level winning the Championship again coming up there. And I credit you. But I think you're right. I think Tottenham, Fulham, City against Brighton, very similar games. So,
again, Sam, you are going to win, but I'm not taking. I think Spurs will win, but I'm not going to take nothing away from Fulham because remember, about 2 months ago, Fulham was dead and buried. No one thought that, you know, rock bottom of the league. No one thought anything of them. All of a sudden, they've come.
They're still in the bottom 3, Solo. Don't forget, they're still in the bottom 3.
And they're 3 points not comfortable.
They're 3 points off. They're 3 points off the, you know, getting out of the relegation spot. So, yeah, go on. I'm just listening. Yeah. I'm still listening.
yeah. So it will be, for me, you should win the game. You should win it. It is a derby as well. So Fulham, yeah, I'm going to give them a bit more, and I'm going to say I'm going to go 1-0 Spurs.
Yeah, what I would say to that is, and I'll just add a little bit before you go on, Ian. There has been obviously the COVID stuff that Fulham have had to deal with in the last week or so. You know, they had obviously the game that we had against them was postponed. I'm not sure if that might have an effect in terms of their team selection. I hope it does, not for bad reasons, but just because I want to win the game. But they, again, both teams haven't prepared for this game, only finding out today that we're going to be playing each other.
Yeah.
Because of our home advantage, because of the fact that I think we are the better team. They may have 1 or 2 players, maybe more, potentially out. Yeah, that's the only reason I'm going so strong on this one.
Yeah, if I'm right to say, I believe it's one player. I think it's a striker, isn't it? He basically didn't follow the guideline.
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it's a striker. Yeah, I believe it's one player they've got out.
Not sure. Obviously, their striker Mitrovic mixed in with Luka Milivojevic on Christmas Day from Palace, didn't they? The two of them kind of teamed up with families and stuff. I think that was what it was all about. But Luka Milivojevic then went to play for Palace, whereas Mitrovic didn't play at Fulham. Interestingly, but it worries me, the COVID one. I've got to put in the wicked comment there with Sam. It's like saying, well, you know, the game's been surprised to Jose Mourinho. I wonder which tactics he's going to choose. Park the bus, or he might be really, really surprised and he might park the bus.
He's not parking the bus anymore. That bus is just left. We've taken the handbrake off. It's rolled down the hill.
Right. Rain is going to stop early on Thursday morning. We're going to have a beautiful, dry, 7-degree evening in London for Arsenal playing Palace at 8 o'clock. Could be interesting. You know, both clubs wobbled like hell for a bit of about 4 games, and everyone was writing Arsenal off. Palace were plummeting but they've both clawed their way back into form, haven't they? Really interestingly. Palace are always awful in the cup. You know, I remember on a freezing night watching them lose to bloody Colchester in the League Cup about a year or two ago, and Grimsby the year before. It's not been good at Palace in the cup, and again against Wolves it wasn't good again. So Arsenal, Palace. You can come back to me in the end because Palace is the club I go and watch in London. I have a season ticket there.
Okay.
A soft spot for them. But you guys go first. Solo, go first. Arsenal, Palace. What do you reckon?
I'm not going to pick on Arsenal fans here. I'm not going to pick on them. So, okay, for me now, I was listening to the guys on the telly today, and I didn't realise 7 or 8 of the Palace players are out of contract in the summer. Did not know that. Yep. Now, will it affect the game? Don't believe it will, because I think, Sam, you said it yesterday on the Premier League thingy show that most players basically are playing for contracts. So some of these guys are going to be playing to get a move to other clubs. So I believe, because it's a London derby as well, Arsenal Palace, I've got this down as a 2-2 draw, but again, I don't know. I think Palace might do an upset. I want Palace to do an upset because I think at the moment with Arsenal as well, they're relying on all these youngsters, and I think it's too much pressure on the young heads rather than sort of integrating them, because it seems like the senior players at Arsenal don't really care about the club. It's only the academy players that's coming in.
Martinelli went up injured, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, there you go. He's injured as well. But Eze, what a player. Why didn't Arsenal go and get him? 20 million or 25 million? Why
22.
didn't they go get 22 million? Why didn't Arsenal go buy him? Arsenal went and bought Pepe for 75 million. You could have bought Wilfred Zaha for 45 million. Why didn't you go and buy these players? So, again, Benteke, I call him Tyrannosaurus Rex anyway. But, again, he's a big player. But it's almost like when you touch the ball, it literally just goes the other direction. I don't know what's wrong with him, with his sort of like form. Andros Townsend, I just think he's a quality player. Absolute quality player. So for me, tomorrow, I'm going to sit there and stick my neck out, and I'm going to say, bring home Palace 2-1.
I've always liked you. Sam, what do you reckon?
This is a really strange game for me. As you just mentioned, you just reeled off some names for Palace there. Very attacking players, very, very much an attacking threat. Zaha, Eze, Benteke, Townsend. There's probably a few others in there. You got Schlupp. You know, there's players in there. Arsenal again. Is he out? Okay. But in terms of having attacking players at their disposal, Arsenal, same sort of thing. Very attack-minded in terms of the players they've got. The strange thing is both managers set up very much in a similar type of way. Both seem to be able to play better off the counter-attack. Arsenal, I know in recent games have pulled out the results, but I watched the game against Newcastle. It was awful. I said that yesterday. I was probably being a bit kind to them. It was probably worse than awful, but they got the result. They seem to have turned a little bit of a corner. I'm hoping they've turned the corner, they don't crash into a truck. But I still think that they've got the ability to pull this out of the bag. Roy Hodgson could be the equalizer in this. He's a seasoned manager, seasoned coach. He's got a CV that stretches long and far and wide in terms of where he's coached and what he's done. Obviously, ex-England manager as well. This one, it's really, really difficult to call because it's a London derby, because it's Arsenal, because I don't like them anyway. I'm tempted to go for a Palace away win. But in reality, I just see Arsenal just about getting the better of this game. I don't see many goals in it, but I do see Arsenal probably just nicking it. And I say just nicking it. I'm going to go for a 1-0.
1-0. Is that how it's spelled? Going to tear him up. Don't worry. Yes. Yeah. Well.
Oh, that's what's his name?
He's an Arsenal fan.
Emil Smith Rowe. That's who ESR is.
Smith Rowe, yeah. Going to tell me. He's
great player, great talent, great talent.
And I love Saka. He's fantastic, that lad.
Yeah.
Watching them. So Arsenal undoubtedly got 3 great talents. What can I say? I'm thinking about what you said first of all about the 7 players out of contract at Palace. there's only one I care about, and that's Andros Townsend. Why Palace have not got him nailed down to a new contract? I don't know. I don't get it. He is so intelligent as a football player. He can absolutely make things happen. Love Andros. The other 6, let him go. Sacco, Benteke, Kelly, Tompkins, McAverage, the 2 McAverage brothers in midfield. Just Palace need a little bit of change there. But Eze's a great player. Mitchell behind him is a solid homegrown defender. What I think tomorrow night, so much depends on the team Palace can put out. They never have the same centre-back combination. That's the monster bit about Palace, in that, Cahill hasn't been fit for a long time. Tompkins just finding his way back into the team. Kiati is a midfielder turned centre-back. The rest, I think, are injured. All out of game.
Can I just ask a quick question then, Ian? Do you think that because they're now looking at Eze as a real potential going forward, that there's the possibility that you could let Zaha go?
I think if the right bid came in, you'd have to let him go. He has a desire for that, and to an extent, he's been very polite in the way that he's stayed with the club and the way he's handled himself. I actually thought, weirdly, Sam, you were going to say something else then, and actually say, well, Eze down the left, would you play Zaha through the middle? I thought, would you let him go through the middle? I thought that's what you were about to say.
No.
Yes. Yeah. Eze could take it down the left with how exciting would this be? With Eze down the left, Andros down the right, and then with Zaha playing in that number 10 position, pushing Jordan Ayew on, who I love, who has got magic feet. Send Batman back to Chelsea. He's hopeless. Benteke, his first touch it makes Lukaku look good. He's that. But gosh, I think the answer will be when I see the team sheet for Palace, who they're playing at the 2 central defenders. I'll feel more confident if it's, who would want Kiate? I would want in one place with Luka Milosevic just in front of him. Tompkins, he'd have to be. At least they played together last game. What do I think? I think it's got a draw written on it, I'm afraid. I think it's got a draw.
I'll take a draw.
I think it's got a draw on it.
I'll take a draw too.
I think it's 1-1 maybe. I think it's got a draw on it.
Yeah. What you were saying there with it as well, Ian, hearing transfer gossip and rumours today, the likelihood is Zaha will be leaving in the summer and Eze, because right now you're looking at, there's another gentleman who's out of contract in the summer at QPR who played with Eze in the middle, young guy, 21 as well, I think he is, for QPR. And apparently you guys will be getting him on a free transfer, and that will then free up Zaha to leave.
Yeah, here first from Solo.
Ferguson on a free transfer from Birmingham, who was meant to be a god of a fullback, and he hasn't played yet. So we'll see. Injury seems to be the curse of Palace. Do we want to go on to Saturday? Are we going on to Saturday, or are we leaving it there?
We're going to leave it, and then you are you available for Friday to do the Saturday show?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I love it. Who we got to look forward to there? Yeah, some interesting games. Yeah. So quickly, in terms of recap, we had Sheffield United, Newcastle. We all felt that would be boring and a bit of a draw, but could be a not terminal for Wilder. Burnley, Man United. Sam and I felt that Burnley could do it, but Solo, you really still feel confident on United. Wolves, Everton. I think you said draw. Sam and I were convinced Everton had too many guns to not lose to Wolves and would win that one. And then City, Brighton, Spurs, Fulham. We kind of between us, less so you. So felt they were very similar games. 2 clubs back into form. 2 clubs who like to play football and are vulnerable. And then we had Arsenal Palace, which is probably the most difficult one of all those games to call. So we probably sat on the fence and said it's going to be a draw. Cheers, chap.
Then, I'm sorry, Tony just left a message, said 2-1 to Arsenal, and they'll be the first team to win 4 games in a row in the Premier League, and then no mad stuff.
If they do win 4 in a row, that puts them in a real, again, the confidence just going through the team. My only issue with that, and I don't want to take too long on it, is if it's the youngsters that play tomorrow, and if it's the youngsters that get the result, then Mikel Arteta hasn't got anywhere to go. He can't then start trying to bring back these older guys because the youngsters are playing. The older guys are going to think, well, hold on a minute. Well, these youngsters are taking my place. Is there going to be a little bit of a discord in the dressing room because of that? You've got senior pros looking up and seeing these youngsters taking their place going forward. Is that going to be a problem? Aubameyang's only scored 2 goals. I don't know how many goals he scored.
2 goals.
He had a tap in the other night.
It's not looking like he's really going to just suddenly spring to form and bang in 5 or 6 goals in the next few games. So it all depends on how much reliance is going to be placed on these youngsters. So I can see potential problems in the future, but for them at the moment, they're obviously doing well. And I can't say much more than that.
All the youngsters are, but because I was listening again today and they were talking about some of these youngsters, if you just hit it as well on the head there, Sam, with it, if you were to bring in certain players in like this summer and these youngsters are performing, you're going to basically knock them away from what they're doing and then bring in like more established players. What's going to set up now? And it's almost like what they were saying, Liverpool is almost keeping tabs on about 2 or 3 of these young Arsenal players.
Would you bring Guendouzi back? He's still a very young player.
Is he on loan? Is he only been loaned out?
He's loaned out, yeah.
I don't think Mikel Arteta is going to... you know what? With Mikel Arteta, he seems to be quite a stubborn type person. He seems to have that I'm the manager sort of mentality. I don't care because he's been made manager now as opposed to being a head coach previously. So because of that, I think he's given more responsibility to make them decisions. I really don't see him bringing back Guendouzi because of the fallout that they possibly had. I think he really wants to bring these youngsters on. He's kind of stumbled on some of them. Saka, I think he always knew was going to be a player, but Emil Smith-Rowe, he's probably just stumbled upon him. He's had to play some of these players, and they've performed. So because of that, he's now in this position where I've got to keep doing this because the fans have called for it. We've done it. We've got 3 games on the trot. Potentially could win 4 games in the Premiership on the trot. That is by no means an easy feat, no matter how you're playing. So, for that reason, it can only be a good thing for the club. But I'm just thinking from him as a manager's perspective, because of the amount of elder statesmen, shall we say, the likes of Willian, you've got Aubameyang, you've got a couple others in there as well. Going forward, could there possibly be some discord?
And it's bizarre because 6 months ago, you'd have said with Lacazette and Aubameyang up front, you can't even believe we'd be having this conversation. And the other bit is, surely with Arteta's style and those young players you named, to have the likes of Torreira out on loan and Guendouzi, that doesn't feel right. Because those 2 players are young and talented and would fit in with that kind of new regime. It's bizarre, isn't it? He's going to, I think he needs to bite his pride and actually say, what style of football do I want to play? Because from what I see, Torreira fits the bill and Guendouzi fits the bill.
Yeah, so, unless, like I said, unless the hierarchy puts pressure on him to do that and make the decision to bring them back, but they let him make the decision to get rid of them. So I don't see why he would bring them back. But again, football's a funny old game. Funny old game.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Should we bring it to a conclusion?
Yeah.
Any last sentiments, thoughts? 1 sentence each.
Come on, you Spurs.
And Solo.
1 point. That's it. Penalty. Don't care. Bring it home. Bring it home.
How do I end up with United and Spurs on the show? Never mind. When ambitions to win the Premier League in style. Great.
That's it.
Thank you, FTB Sport. The one-to-one. Like, subscribe, share. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. Cheers.
Cheers.